We're asking for a final order today. I'm going to read the agreements. The parties have a lot of agreements. The only disagreement they have is as to who should provide the medical insurance. So Ms. Stewart will testify that Mr. Stewart doesn't keep a job consistently, therefore she's asking to carry. Mr. Stewart will testify that he has health insurance available now through his employer, has another child, so he wants to keep the health insurance because he's got 2 kids on there. But the agreements, Your Honor, are that the parties are in agreement on the confirmation of arrears, that Mr. Stewart is in arrears in child support as of December 31st, 2024, $21,703.20. And he's agreed to pay that at $150 beginning February 1st. Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'm not going to share my pay record. They've both seen it, and I'll just attach it as an exhibit to my order.
Right.
They're in agreement as to what Mr. Stewart's income is. Mr. Stewart has a job now where he's salary employee making $82,000 a year. So his wage and salary monthly is $6,833.33. But he also receives VA disability of $1,995.01. So his total resources is $8,828.34. Mr. Stewart has 2 other children. They're in agreement with that. He's also in Connecticut. So the state did do calculations providing him the state taxes for Connecticut, which is 5.5%. So he's getting a credit of $318.50. So I do have the numbers for the court just to move the case. If Ms. Stewart provides, her health insurance is actually like $436 for the children. That includes medical and dental, but she's agreed to split that in half so that in hopes that she can provide. So she's requesting medical support of $227 and then the dental of $9 for a total of $236. If Mr. Stewart provides his health insurance just for the children, and that includes both children, it would be $139 a month, with dental $10 a month. So I calculated based on those numbers. So if Ms. Stewart is allowed to provide, her child support would be $1,111 a month. If Mr. Stewart is allowed to provide, then his child support would be $1,125 a month. The parties are in agreement with those numbers. They just need the court to make a decision as to who will carry.
All right then, folks. Let's get some testimony on this, and we'll see where it goes. And I'll need the information of who's Mr. Stewart's insurance carrier is, if it's a recognized national one. So that makes it a little easier, maybe. But we'll wait. We'll go ahead and see. And I'll also need to get some background on how long he's had this current position. Anyway, so at this time, I'm going to ask both Mr. and Ms. Stewart to raise your right hands, and let's get you under oath. Do you both solemnly swear or affirm your testimony you're going to give here today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you?
Yes, sir.
I do.
All right. You're both officially under oath, and the state may proceed. Thank you.
State would call Mr. Tariq Stewart. Mr. Stewart, are you currently, well, look, you've heard the agreements that I read to the judge. Are those your agreements?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you understand that there's 2 different amounts of what child support could be depending on who provides the health insurance.
Understood.
But the numbers that I provided, you're in agreement with those.
Yes.
Right. And you're currently working?
I am.
And what state are you in?
Connecticut.
And how long have you been with this employer?
Roughly about 2 months.
2 months?
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
have you actually, and how many other children do you have?
I have 2 other ones.
2 other children, and then plus
Yes.
this one, so 3 biological children?
Yes, that's correct.
Have you added any of the children to the health insurance through your current employer?
Yes, I had my middle child, my middle daughter.
All right, and when did you do that?
I had it when it's back on December 6th is when the income withholding came from. So she's on my insurance. The reason why I'm still within my 90-day probation. So it'll take effect on February 16th.
So on
Everything that
February
goes through.
16th, you should have the health insurance will kick in for both of the kids.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you do medical and dental?
Yes.
And earlier I told the judge that the cost for medical monthly for you is $139. Is that right?
Yes.
And then the dental is $10.
Yes.
Now, how were you employed prior to this job? Did you have a job?
No, ma'am. I was unemployed.
How long were you unemployed?
Roughly a few months, a year and a few months.
Okay. So almost a year and a half, or a little bit less than a year and a half.
Less than a half.
Now, in the last order that we're modifying, you were previously ordered to provide health insurance. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And during this time period, this gap, do you know what the children had for health insurance?
No, I don't.
Did you put any of the kids in COBRA to give them an option to continue the health insurance?
I'm not aware of what COBRA is. So, I mean, unless that's not we don't have that in Connecticut. So I'm not sure what that COBRA is.
Okay. And prior to losing this job, did you have how long did you work for that employer before you lost the job?
For three and a half years.
Did you have insurance during that 3.5 year?
I did.
And without great detail, what was the reason that you lost your employment?
There were some issues going behind the scene, and I didn't mesh well with the boss.
Okay. What are you wanting the court to are you asking the court that you be able to provide the health insurance?
I am. Reason being is because when I had the job for 3.5 years, when I came right out the military, I was able to provide them health insurance. And so that was part of the court order, and that was what was happening. So I would like to continue that now that I have a stable job, back on my feet. I was going through some period of time when my mental health was not the best. So I'm going back to therapy to work on my mental health and stuff like that. So like I said, I'm in a better position than I was before. So
Okay, well, hold on a second, Mr. Stewart. So are your intentions to keep this job, you know, and keep it
Yes.
for an extended period of time?
Yes, I'm not trying to switch jobs like that. No, I like what I do, and I plan on being here for a while. So if I'm afforded the opportunity to provide medical insurance for my son, then that's what I would like to do.
Okay. Now you have 3 kids, but you only have how many on the health insurance? How many did you add? Just 2? Do you know what the health insurance is for the other child?
So like I said, I'm still in my probationary period, and so come next month it'll be. But I think it's through United Health.
Oh, okay. Well, I know, but is your goal to put all of your 3 kids on the health insurance through your employer?
No, just my 2. Just
Okay.
just 2 of them. The other one, she's on the state insurance.
Okay. And what type of health insurance do you have through your employer?
I have medical and dental.
I know, but do you know if that health insurance will be whether Ms. Stewart will be able to use it in Texas?
Oh yes, so I spoke to HR before I enrolled, and HR assured me that my son resides in Texas. He'd be able to get the insurance because it's all the out of a network plan that I chose.
That also applied for the dental?
Yes.
I have no further questions for Mr. Stewart.
All right, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and allow you to call your next witness. I'll be back in just a moment, Mr. Stewart. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Stay, we'll call Ms. Brittany Stuart. Ms. Stewart, you heard the agreements that I read on the record. Are those your agreements?
Yes, ma'am.
And let's talk about the health insurance then. What is the actual cost of the health insurance for the medical portion?
The full cost for the medical portion is $236 a month per pay period. So per pay period, I get paid twice a month. So
Right.
just for Bryson, it is actually it's $470 something for medical and dental. I am requesting that it just be at half
Okay, well, hold
that
on a
was
second,
the-
Ms. Stewart. I gotta ask you questions, so hold
Okay.
on.
Yes, ma'am.
That was my next question. Are you asking for that full amount, or are you willing to do something less?
I'm willing to go ahead with the half of what I actually pay. Less is fine.
And is that the medical of $227 a month?
Yes.
And then dental $9?
Yes, ma'am.
And you only have the child in this case on the health insurance? You don't have any other children on there?
No, I do not have any other children.
Now, you've heard Mr. Stewart state that he just started this new job and he's able to provide health insurance. What is the reason that you don't want him to provide it?
Because he has not been consistent. When he did lose his job the first time, I was not notified. The other mother notified me what had happened. And then the second time when he did get another job in between, he never reinstated my son. His intent was not.
Hold on a second. So he said that he was out of a job for about a year and a half. Are we talking about that's the second time he lost his job or the first time?
He's had a job in between then. He worked for Unitex and then he also worked for another company at the airport.
Okay, and there was no health insurance that you're aware of at that time?
Not that I'm aware of, not that I was ever made aware of. So I've been covering my son ever since then.
Okay, so did you have to add your son to the health insurance because Mr. Stewart was unemployed?
Yes,
And how long have you had the child on your health insurance now?
since June of 2023.
Now, let me go back a second. Prior to him losing his job, did he carry the health insurance through his employer? He said he worked there for about 3 years. Did you have health insurance at that time?
Yes, he provided the health insurance. And when he was working, the health insurance was fine for about a year. I lost the card, reached out, and I did not get a secondary card. I was just told to be more responsible. And then luckily I did end up finding that card again, but our communication was not well at that moment. So having to rely on him at that moment wasn't well. And then after he lost his job, there was never another reinstatement with Cobra or any other communication to how we get our son covered. And our son has multiple allergies.
Well, hold on a second, Ms. Stewart. So, are you having to take your son to the doctor on a regular basis?
Yes, because my son has a peanut as well as other dye allergies. Anytime he has a breakout, which is quite often because of the allergies they're very common. I have to take him either to the emergency room or I have to take him just in to see his doctor to get either topical care or to get medication for him to take to relieve the rash or breakouts. As well as have to provide an EpiPen for daycare and for the school and any other outside services. Because you can't just have one EpiPen. He has to have one at each facility.
Right. I have no further questions for Ms. Stewart, and state would rest.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Stewart, is there anything else you think you want to tell the court at this point? You're your own legal rep, and so is there anything else you think I need to know additionally, ma'am?
I would just like you to know that I have provided full care for my son. I have been doing it financially completely on my own since 2023. So having to rely on someone who can continue consistent employment as well as consistent communication is not something that's in my opinion, the best interest of my son.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. That was actually a closing argument, but that's fine. That's what I always say. You have the right to make that statement as a closing argument, and that's not a problem. All right, I'm going back to you, Mr. Stewart. You heard her closing argument or heard her closing statement. Is there anything else you think I need to know, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, like you saw, like she mentioned, our communication hasn't always been the best. But as I stated before, talking to Ms. Gonzalez, that my mental state is in a better I'm in a better position now. And now that I do have a stable job, I would like to provide medical insurance for my son. Yeah, that's like I said, I'm just overall better physically and mentally. And during that past, I haven't always been in the best. So I mean, I'm better now, so I'm willing to provide insurance for my son as well.
Thank you. All right, then, Ms. Taylor, anything else, ma'am?
No, Your Honor.
All right, here's what we're gonna do, folks. I'm sorry, judge has his own standards as far as this type of matter is concerned. And sir, the fact that you've only had this job for 2 months and this child has special medical needs, I've got to go with the regular insurance policy from the mom. I'm gonna go ahead and that's what I'm gonna grant at this point. Now, if you want to, I don't think it costs you anything extra. You can keep the child on your health insurance also. Send mom a copy of that card. That way, in case there's something not covered by her current insurance, it may cover it. So you don't have to be responsible for the 50-50 unreimbursed medical expenses. And at a future date, when we come back in here, well, if it's not too far in the future, I'll probably still be your judge. But if y'all don't come back for another 2 or 3 years, you get to tell the next guy, or lady. But the bottom line is, if you show, sir, that you get a consistent history of having that health insurance, and obviously the health insurance is technically child support. And I would make that part of the child support order. But the fact that, that this child was out there, according to your testimony, well over a year without any type of insurance from you, sir, I've just got to go with this one at this point and order mom to maintain it in order to cash medical. I'll go ahead and grant the child support amounts. Each of you know what that's going to be going forward, giving you credit for that. Mom's giving you a deal on the health insurance at half. So that's she doesn't have to do that, but she did, and I'm going to go ahead and grant that. And of course, I'll waive court costs due to military service at this time. And sir, COBRA is something where if you lose your job and you're still if you lose your job, you're allowed to maintain your health insurance for so many months after you lose the job. So that's what that is. So again, if you lose a job and don't leave voluntarily, then you could always instate COBRA. But that's something if you do change jobs or change things or lose this job, you can check with the with Human Services about that. But for right now, I'm going to find at this point, based on this information and these circumstances, that's in the best interest of the child, that I'll order mom to maintain the health insurance in order you to make the reimbursed payments. Is there anything else at this time, Ms. Taylor?
No, Your Honor, I will ask the parties to go back into the breakout rooms so they can sign the order before they leave.
All right, then I'll give it one last time. Any questions, Mr. Stewart?
No, just so my understanding is that the medical is what we agreed on to have.
Yeah, that's what she testified to, sir. That's what I'm going to order. Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions? Again, Mr. Stewart, it'll be a good. If your health insurance doesn't change by the number of dependents you have, it's a smart play to go ahead and still put this child on that package and send mom that, because you never know what's going to be covered and not covered. And under state law, under our orders, any and all uninsured expenses are 50-50 between the parties. All right. Thank you. Ms. Stewart, any questions, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you both very much. And I'll allow the state's going to put you back in the breakout room, give you a copy of the order to review shortly, and sign off on it by DocuSign. So thank you both very much, and good luck to both of you. And we're off the record.
The monthly gross income is $23,333. No union dues or medical insurance. The net income is $16,833.75, leaving monthly child support at $1,840.
It appears there was a temporary order in this case that made a finding of Mr. Ward's gross monthly resources to be $2,439 each month. Seems drastically lower than the current amount.
Again, Your Honor, I don't know how they came up with that number. And he's not here. And do you know where Mr. Ward lives?
With his mom.